Hey, this is Brian.
This is Cliff.
And today we're going to show you how to install the AWE Touring Exhaust and Performance Mid-Pipe on an F30 328.
And it's really cold.
And it's the perfect color.
Wait, which one's yours? Alright, so after putting your car up on jack stands, you can watch our video at the link right here. You're going to want to go ahead and spray the bolts on the clamps with PB Blaster. Just get those loose. They tend to corrode over time. And you're also going to want to lubricate the hangers that your exhaust is hanging on so that they come out a little easier.
Okay, so whenever you're working underneath the car, it's always a good idea, especially when working with exhaust, to use leather gloves and also a full face mask to make sure that there's no dust and debris, and rust, or anything else that's going to fall in your eye. So we've already gone ahead, as Cliff mentioned, and we've sprayed all the bolts. All right, here you can see our first bolt that we need to remove. Right here, this is a BMW clamp that's on here. This is a 13mm bolt. So go ahead and remove that bolt, and then we're going to pry open this clamp. Now this clamp is welded on the side, but what we like to do is just press it open a little bit, so it's going to make it a little bit easier to work with. All right, so we just loosen that clamp. Over here you're going to see an exhaust hanger. It says exhaust pipe on it, so pretty easy to identify. For this you are going to need an E10. So an E10 is basically like a reverse Torx. So at this time you can remove these two. Next we need to remove these 6 bolts right here. These are T45s. So let's remove all of these. Now once you have one left, what you can do is you can just remove it a little bit, and then you can pivot this and use it as a support when you're reinstalling everything. But for now, we'll just pivot it out of the way. Now that we're at the back of the car, you can see that there's an electric connection right here. This is what controls that electronic valve, so make sure you disconnect that and have it out of the way. Next, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and lubricate this exhaust hanger, and then there's also one over here. Once you've done that, at this time, you can start to pull one off, then pull the other ones off. And then if you have a second person, it's going to be very helpful, because it's a good idea to have somebody at the front of the car and somebody at the rear of the car as we maneuver the exhaust off. All right, so now we're ready to pull the hangers off. If you have an exhaust separator tool, they do have is that a real thing? If you have a pry tool, I would suggest using that. Otherwise, you can use a screwdriver or a variety of different tools to do this. Okay, here's the one side. And again, it's very important, if you have another person, they're going to come in very handy at this point once your exhaust starts to get lower, because it is kind of heavy. So now we have the muffler off, and we're going to lower it down a little bit and then pull to disconnect it. There you go. You're good. All right, and at this point, the exhaust is completely disconnected. A good idea is once you get to that point, what you can do is just rotate it left and right and pull back, and it should come right off. All right, once you're at this point, what you can do is line up your exhaust on the ground, and what we recommend doing is just matching all of the different curves to your factory exhaust. Now when we're installing this, we are going to start at the catalytic converter, and we are going to make our way back, installing just one piece at a time. So the only part that I would recommend actually pre-installing is slide your exhaust tips onto the actual muffler and put an AccuSeal. Don't actually tighten this down yet. We're going to make sure that everything is seated correctly before we actually tighten everything down.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and remove the control module for the exhaust flap. These are 3 10mm bolts that we're gonna go ahead and remove. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and install this on the AWE exhaust. Now you'll notice they have a dedicated location for it, but you're not actually controlling anything with the module. So basically what you're doing is you're putting it here and plugging in your wiring harness just to keep the computer on the car happy. Now they do provide new bolts that you're going to use in this location, as well as washers. Make sure you reinstall the heat shield as well, and you can go ahead and just set that right in there and tighten it down. Alright, so at this point we are ready to start installing. Before you do that, you need to take this exhaust hanger off and transfer it over to your AWE kit. So to do this, you slide it off
Some people like to use WD-40, some people like to use different kinds of lubricants. What we found works really well is actually just Vaseline. So if you rub some of that on there, just make sure you get the excess off when you install it on the new one. All right, so on your AWE exhaust, you will see that it says exhaust pipe and it points towards it. So you just take this, just slide it right down, just like that. And as you can see, it says exhaust pipe. All right, now what you can do is make sure you have that small AccuSeal over this fitting here. You're going to slip it on over the cat. Then you're going to bolt the hanger down right where you removed it. So let's go ahead and take care of all this now. Now at this point, just keep everything very loose. You don't need to have anything actually tightened down yet, because you want to make sure that everything is located in the correct spot. Make sure that all the pipes are sitting correctly. All right, now what you need to do is get your next piece. You're going to slide it over. And you position it the right way. Slide that AccuSeal on again. Don't tighten anything yet, we're not there yet. Then what we're going to do is add the next piece, and then finally the muffler. Make sure everything is seated correctly, and then we'll tighten everything down. So right now is a prime example when you can rock this brace over, tighten it up just a little bit, and that'll just take a little pressure off so you can let go of everything. All right, so now we are ready for the resonated piece. So same thing, put your AccuSeal on. I'm just going to slide this on. The really nice thing about AWE is everything is precision fit, so it's going to fit excellent. So now we have our pre-assembled muffler. What we're going to do is start with the side with the tips. Slide this on. Then you can slide the other side on. Now as far as positioning your muffler is concerned, on the end of these exhaust hangers from AWE, they have these little clamps right here with an included Allen key to make it super simple. What you can do is, if your tips aren't sitting where you like them, you can maneuver them around and then tighten it so everything stays exactly where you want it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just slide these on, but I'm not going to tighten them down yet until we're ready to do some final adjustments. All right, the last part of the process is we need to connect the exhaust to the muffler with one of these couplers. So remember, you always want to put an AccuSeal on each side before you slide that on. You can slide this on. Make sure that it slides on all the way. Then you can push your exhaust away a little bit. And finish positioning this. All right, so now that everything is fully installed, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the front of the car, we're going to make our way back, tightening everything down, and then we're going to go back and we're going to do it one more time just to ensure that everything is tightened correctly. Then to finish it up, we're going to make sure that these exhaust tips are sitting exactly where they need to be, and we'll start it up and see how amazing this car sounds. All right, so now we are ready to align the tips. You can see that if I rock this forward, it's a little bit too far over. So what we can do is, as we mentioned before, we can slide the exhaust over and then use that Allen key that they provided to tighten down that little clamp, and that's going to hold your exhaust to make sure that your tips are going to look absolutely perfect. So after some minor adjusting, you can see everything fits great now. All right, now that the exhaust is sitting in a really good spot, we can tighten up this clamp here. All right, so everything is fully installed and looks amazing. So let's hear how it sounds. Alright, so we are all finished up. The car sounds amazing and the customer loved it. If you are looking for AWE or other parts for your car, be sure to visit us at KiesMotorsports.com. Again, this is Brian. Thanks for watching Kies Motorsports. As always, make sure you give us a nice big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell notification, and stay tuned for more. Thanks so much. Have a great day.